Hi friends, Blue Roomers. Today is Friday, so I want to do an experiment with you because on Fridays, what do? Science Friday. And today I thought it would be fun to do some experiments that I think you could do at home by finding the right materials. The first thing you want to do is make a wave bottle, and you need a bottle of some kind. I'm going to use a test tube bottle, and I'll talk at the end about something you can use instead. A test tube bottle with a cap, and I need vegetable oil, which I poured into a pouring pitcher because it's a little easier to use to pour that way into a tiny little bottle. And I need water, so I've got my water, and I need food coloring. I'm going to do blue because it's one of my favorite watercolors. It reminds me of the ocean. So to do the wave bottle, the first thing you do is fill up the container that you choose with oil 3/4 of the way up. Now, how do we find 3/4? Well, this is a hole there, and half would be here. And then you need to turn the top half into two parts. So that would be quarters. So you'd have 1/4, 2/4 is a half, 3/4 would be about right there. So we're going to pour oil in up to about right there. And I'm going to put my fingers there so that I can see when I'm pouring. So there. I think that's about right. 3/4 of the way full. Now the vegetable oil is kind of a very light pale yellow color. Now I need to fill the rest of the way up with water. My water ready. Now, when I pour the water in, do you think it will mix with the oil? And it will be just all a mixture of water and oil? Let's check it out. Let's find out. You say what your hypothesis is at home when you're doing it. I'm not sure. I'm having a feeling that they might mix up a little bit. But then what will happen? Let's see. There. Here's my water. Now, I'm going to hold it so that you can see. Ooh, I noticed. Did you see what I see? They didn't mix up together. There's a couple of bubbles. I think the water made some bubbles. I think the water, I conclude that the water went through the oil to the bottom and pushed the oil up to the top, but they didn't mix. Because I don't know if you know that oil and water don't mix. They don't like each other. They stay separated. If we were to shake it all up, they would mix for a little bit, and then they would say, oh no, I don't like to play with you, and then they would separate back. You can try it at home when you do this experiment. Now, so that we can see the color of the water and have maybe a little bit of a watercolor, ocean color, I'm going to put in, let's see, how many drops? It says, a few drops. Let's try 3. 1, 2, 3. Stay up top. Ooh, look it. Did you see that? The food coloring went down the middle of the oil in a bubble all of its own, and now it's resting on top of the water at the bottom of the oil. What if we put in a couple more? Let's see if we can watch that again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, watch. Here it goes. Do you see it? That's really cool. All right, let me cover the blue. We don't want to have any stains. Okay, now I'm going to put the cap on. Put it on tight because you wouldn't want the blue colored water and oil spilling all over your furniture or anywhere in your house. Now, once you have it together, let's wiggle it a little. Let's shake it. Oh, do you see what's happening? The blue food coloring bubble is breaking a little bit up into other little bubbles, mixing and changing. Is it the water or the oil changing blue? Don't know. All right, there's lots of bubbles in there. They will settle. But now we have a wave bottle, and if we tip it sideways, back and forth slowly, we can see the wave going back and forth. Oh, the little blob of blue broke. Now, if I hold it still, let's see what happens when it settles. I notice that the water is still on the bottom, and the water is now blue, and the oil separated and stayed on top, and it does not turn blue. All right, so I'm going to put this one down right here. There we go. And now we're going to do a different experiment that's called the erupting bubbling blob. Now we have to put oil 3/4 of the way up again. You know what? Hold on. Got to get something ready. For this experiment, we need oil and water and a color. This time I'm going to use red because I want it to look like it's erupting. And you need Alka-Seltzer. Now, Alka-Seltzer is a medicine that when a grown-up has a tummy ache, an upset tummy, they might take an Alka-Seltzer and put it in a glass of water, and it makes bubbles, kind of like when you mix the vinegar and the baking soda. It makes that carbon dioxide gas. It makes lots of bubbles, and it's fizzy, and then you drink it, and the bubbles help to settle your tummy. Pretty much grown-ups use that. All right, so you need one Alka-Seltzer, but I need to cut it into 4 pieces because I only need 1/4 of it. So I cut it into 2 halves. Okay, 2 halves makes a whole. Now if I want 1/4, I have to cut one of the halves in half again. Another half of the half would be 1/4. All right, so I have to have one of those ready. All right, so now I need to pour oil in 3/4 of the way up. There we go. Okay, and then it says to take one cap, the cap for it, and fill the cap with water. And add 1 cap full of water. Ooh, that's the tricky part. Okay. Did it do the same thing? The water went through the oil and landed on the bottom. Now it says to drop 1 or 2 drops of food coloring in. And we know what's going to happen. That blob bubble is going to go all the way down through the oil like a bubble and rest on top of the water. 1, 2. Is it going down? Here it goes. It's going down. Now, did you notice that only the water is going to turn red, because we figured that out on the other one. But it didn't break up yet. It's going to have to break up. But what we need to do is we need to put the Alka-Seltzer in. Now we know that the Alka-Seltzer, when you add it to water, it makes bubbles, fizzy bubbles. I got blue fingers. It makes fizzy bubbles. Now, do you predict, your hypothesis, your guess, will the Alka-Seltzer sink to the bottom? Will it stay on top? Will it get fizzy? What will it do? Let's try it. Okay, it says drop one section into the tube, and it says watch what happens to the bubbling water at the bottom of the tube. All right, it's making fizz. It's fizzing up, and the bubbles are going up through the oil. Whoa, the color, whoa, it's like a exploding blob, bubbling blob. Look at all those bubbles it made. And remember, the water kind of, when it goes into the oil, stays in little bubbles. That's really cool. It's still fizzing. It's still fizzing. Well, now it's floating to the top a little bit. I wonder what will happen when it's done fizzing. Well, what do we conclude? We can conclude that the water does not want to mix with the oil, so it's staying in little bubbles inside the oil, and eventually they'll probably settle to the bottom. But the fizziness made it look like it was erupting. Oh, it's sinking back down again. Let me turn it around. It's still in there. Wow. That's the end of science for today. Let's put the cap on so that we don't spill it on the furniture. And I'll flip it upside down. Whoop. So we have our wave bottle and our erupting, bubbling blob. We'll see what happens when we let it sit. Now, what I want to tell you is if you don't have these kind of test tubes at home, you can recycle, which means after you drink water out of a water bottle, you can use it like one of these as long as you have your cap, and you can do the same thing. I can send the instructions home with in an email to Mom and Dad so that you can try it at home if you want to. And also, you can use something even taller. You can make a wave bottle even taller. I'm not sure how the erupting blob, if you have more oil and water because it's a bigger container, you might need more of your Alka-Seltzer tablet, but you can experiment at home and give it a try and see what happens. But make sure that you have a grown-up helping you so that you don't make a mess and that you paper out and everything. So that's all for our science today, boys and girls. Don't forget to clean up when you're done and use recycled materials if you can. That helps the earth. We're going to be talking about that a lot more now. All right, bye.